What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the mini series about refreshing your life and what that will look like. How can you take the last 4 months of 2024 and make them the best 4 months that you've had all year, pushing you into a successful 2025? So in the last video, we went over setting up your plan. What do you need to focus on in the next 4 months? So if you, and I'm just flipping through here, what you have done, hopefully, is you self-assessed and you set up a plan, right? Now here's what you're gonna do next. I'm just flipping to where I have it. You are going to set some boundaries. How in the world does that even play remotely close into your plans and your goals? Well, first off, you need to figure out a way how you're gonna set boundaries and expectations for yourself. And then how are you gonna do that to others? I have heard from some people in recent weeks about the issues that they have with boundaries and the issue they have with other people, more other people than themselves, but how they cannot or struggle to manage setting those boundaries. I, again, learned this from the creator of The Daily Grind. So this is not me. This is just simply advice that she gave that I applied and then I tweaked it for myself and that I've done. What you have to understand is your priority, number one priority, should always be yourself. That could go against a lot of people's philosophy and thinking, but you should be the top priority for yourself. Your health, your emotional, mental state, your physical health, all those things, you have to be the priority for yourself. Here's why. If you have children, you're married, we all have family in some way, or you have friends, what does all of that matter if you're not here? If you're not healthy, if you're not in the best place that you can be, what happens to them? None of that matters. Those people do not matter if you're not being taken care of, if you're not looking out for yourself. Most of the time, again, this is just my opinion, most of the time people who struggle with boundaries, I feel, are people who tend to be people pleasers. But also definitely people who are in a relationship of some kind or have children. Now, I'm not talking about young children who don't understand any of this. I'm talking about older children. There's this struggle and this imbalance of understanding that you have the right to tell someone no. You have the right to tell someone, not this time. You have the right to take a stand and say, no, I'm not going to be treated that way. You have that right to do that. Nobody else, just you. The advice I have given people who have talked to me about this recently is sometimes what happens is people know who you are. So if they know that they can guilt trip you enough to convince you to do what they want, they will. So I asked the challenging question back. So is that person really a friend? Does that person really care about you if they're not being respectful of your choices and what your decisions are? If you're making decisions or choices based on how someone else may feel, then it's not your choice, it's theirs. If you're making decisions or plans and revolving it around other people versus yourself, if it's something for you, like if it's an event you want to go to or an event you're planning, or maybe it's something you don't want to do. If you're making decisions on that kind of stuff based on how you think other people are going to react or what other people's opinions are or how they feel, then it's not your choice. Here's another unpopular opinion. It's okay to be selfish. Now, I'm not talking brat selfish. I'm not talking selfish as in you want your way always and forever. I'm not talking about that at all, because that is obviously, in my opinion, not good behavior, not good characteristics of someone to constantly be selfish and want their way all the time. When I say you can be selfish, I mean that you can make decisions for yourself and be okay with it. And if the other person or people are not, then you have to evaluate that relationship. And with family, that can be very hard to do. It's one of the hardest things to do, but you have to. You have to set a standard. You have to set a boundary for yourself, because at the end of the day, they're stressing you out and giving you anxiety and making you feel some kind of way. I asked a person this one time, I said, okay, help me understand. So by you wanting to do A, and these people will want you to do B. Is doing B causing you more stress than if you did A? And they were like, yes, I'm so stressed. I don't know what to do. I said, then you have your answer. You're stressed out and worried because you're worrying about other people and their plan and agenda and not what you want to do. That's where you can be selfish. And there are ways to be respectfully selfish. You can simply say to someone, thanks, but no thanks. Or thanks, not this time. I appreciate the invite. Can we plan something a different time? Or, I thank you for inviting me, but I'm just not going to be able to make it this time. I hope we can catch up another day. This is the other thing that drives me crazy and people have talked to me about. They have said things like, well, if I don't go to this person's event, then they won't come to mine. And that always happens when it's like kids. If I don't go to so-and-so's birthday for their children, they won't come to mine. And maybe it's just my personality, because that's not who I am. I'm just like, so? If you have something you have to do on that day that someone has a party, it's as simple as saying, thanks, but I already have plans. Maybe we can catch up another day. And it's okay to do that. So why is this important for you? Why is this important for you planning the next 4 months? You need to set boundaries to make yourself comfortable, to make yourself productive so that you can be the best version of you in the next 4 months. That's why you need to do it, and you need to write them down. I'm going to give you some examples of the boundaries and expectations I set for myself for the next 4 months. Now, these are expectations and boundaries that I need to put on myself, but also what I'm going to set forth to other people. I'm not going to tell them. I'm just going to simply do it. I'll explain. So I'll give you a couple of the ones I have written down. The first thing I'm setting as a boundary expectation for me is take perfect out of my vocabulary. I am the personality of the perfectionist in that personality test we did from the 60-day challenge, the building a life of change. I am a perfectionist. And when things don't happen perfectly, it stresses me out. I need to take that out of my vocabulary. The other thing I have, do not stay silent. My voice is important and I can share how I feel in a respectful way. There's a difference. Years ago, I used to not be like that. I still am very blunt. I just wasn't very strategic in when to talk and when not to talk. And then when I would talk, it just was flat out whatever I was thinking at the moment. So I put that boundary on myself. Like, no, I don't have to stay silent and I can still voice how I feel, but I can do it the right way too. Disagreements need a resolution. Set a date on when things can be discussed after disagreement. Anytime I have an issue with someone, anytime I have a disagreement with someone, I need to go back and come to a resolution with that person. If I make the effort and they choose not to, that's on them. But for me, I can't go with things just being difficult. If there's been an issue between me and another person, then we need to work that out. And maybe in that moment is not the best time. Maybe it needs to be later, but I still need to go back and I need to resolve that. This one may not go over well for some people, but I have this as a boundary. I expect others to listen to me. Not in a way of authority, but a way to afford me the opportunity to speak. I am not just furniture. I have a right to voice my opinion respectfully. I should not be treated like I'm just in the way. And then I have more. I'm just giving you a couple of ideas, but then this last one, I really do also have to work on. It's give the kids grace to be kids. Goes back to that perfection issue. They're kids. They're 3 and 5. They're gonna tear up my house. They're gonna have a mess. They're gonna be noisy. They're gonna scream. They're gonna be loud. They're kids. Sometimes I have to remind myself of that. I'm learning that when I feel my senses are overloaded, that's when I'm at my shortest, like my span of tolerance. So I just learning to find new ways to, when they are in their overload space of running and screaming and playing and I am finding new ways to where that doesn't overwhelm or overload me, and my senses. So, but again, the purpose of all of this is to set yourself up. Set yourself up for success. Putting boundaries and expectations on yourself is going to cause you to be successful. You want to be the best version of yourself. And to do that, sometimes you need to have a quick understanding that I'm not going to let people treat me this way anymore. I'm not going to be talked to that way anymore. I'm not going to allow other people's agendas to be mine. That's okay. That's what you need to be writing down. What boundaries do you want to set for yourself and for others? Because without you, none of that matters. All right, make sure you have your playlist. Hit that play button and spend some time today setting up the boundaries and expectations you have for yourself and for others as you move forward in the next 4 months and end 2024 strong. I'll see you again. Bye. So catch me if I fall.